So I don't think that there are degrees of fake news. I think fake news is fake news. I think what we're worried about in the current climate is any kind of fake news around the coronavirus, around COVID-19. That's what government has sought to criminalize, and they've done so in the regulations under the Disaster Management Act. And basically what that new law says is that if you share a statement with the intention of deceiving people around COVID, so whether you say that there's a vaccine that has been developed, or only white people can get COVID, or the hospital kits are faulty, or the testing is not done correctly. I've seen a lot of content being circulated about how only white people get COVID, so black people don't need to worry about it, or this is a home remedy for curing COVID-19. Where we're circulating that kind of news, it can have very serious real-world consequences, because it may lead to somebody contracting the disease because they were complacent. The criminal offense requires the intention to deceive. So you need to know that what you're sharing is not true, or you just don't give a damn about the truth. We call this the reckless disregard for the truth. Where you have received something, you're not even sure whether it's true or not, but you're just going to share it anyway, but it could cause serious harm. Those people could be prosecuted even if they don't have the direct intention to deceive, because of the principle in our law that we call dolus eventualis, which is basically where you reconcile yourself to a particular outcome and you proceed anyway. And that reconciliation is to the idea that this content that I'm sharing might not be true. The sanction for sharing fake news around COVID under the regulations is 6 months in prison or a fine. There's no hard and fast rule about how much prison time or what amount of fine is imposed. That will be at the discretion of the magistrate. The prosecutor will push for various things depending on the seriousness, the reach, how bad the content was, all of those factors, whether or not the person is apologetic, all the usual factors that we would take into account in sentencing. It is important to note that minors from the age of 14 years old have full criminal capacity. And what that means is that there's no difference in the crimes that can be committed by a 14-year-old and the crimes that can be committed by me. So this fake news offense that government has rolled out could be committed by somebody as young as 14. Actually, there's even provision in our law in the Child Justice Act for a child between the ages of 10 and 14 to have criminal capacity. The other thing that we need to note, I think, is that this criminal offense around sharing fake news around coronavirus only applies in South Africa. There are some countries which have standard fake news crimes anyway, but this new criminal offense only applies in South Africa. So, you would have to show that the offense took place in South Africa. And of course, the publication would take place in South Africa. So even if somebody is South African and living abroad, they could be prosecuted when they come back to our shores, in the same way that Adam Katsavalis was charged with crimen injuria for something that happened in Greece. The arrest that we saw this week of the video that went viral, and when I say it went viral, I mean literally everybody I know received that video, and a lot of people received that video thinking that it was true, and that if they did submit to government screening, then they would contract COVID-19. Now that's an incredibly dangerous video to be sharing, and the poster even acknowledged, I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. Well, where you're dealing with that kind of stuff, you've got to actually make sure that what you're saying is true. Every single thing you receive on social media, particularly on these WhatsApp groups, you've got to presume is untrue until you go and prove that it's true. Do not share something unless you've actually interrogated the content, made sure that it's true, that there is a source, not just any old source, but a credible source, a source that you have verified attached to the content.